answering questions that are being sent to my phone from our social media team. So pardon me for checking out my phone throughout this feed. But again, my name is Frankie, and I'm an aviculturist here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, where I am feeding our first feed of the day to our Magellanic penguins. Now we have 22 Magellanic penguins here in our June Keys penguin habitat. And right now in front of me I have Anderson, Lily, Shim, Skipper, and Floyd. It looks like we have Ludwig coming out of the water right now. So I'm going to get started on this feed. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave a comment below, and that question will get sent to me through via text. Now we are in our migration season, so you might hear the helicopter above me right now. We are in our migration season, which is an easy time for the penguins to get spooked. So they did a pretty good job with that helicopter just now, but if another one passes by and they flee to the water or something else happens, I can tell you a little bit more about why our penguins are moving a little bit faster off. Julie said, "Hello, give the penguins a hug for me." I will. Where'd Lily go? Alrighty, so we do write down every single fish that all of our birds eat on a daily basis, just to monitor their daily intake. Skipper, Capelin, medfish. And today is a med day, meaning these birds are getting preventative anti-malarial medicine. So just because we are an outdoor habitat and we have access to mosquitoes all year round because we're a warmer climate, we give that as a preventative every other day. I'm going to put the mic down for just a moment and get going on this feed, and then I will be ready to answer questions and talk to you more about Magellanic penguins. Medfish. Alrighty, if you're just tuning in, my name is Frankie and I'm an aviculturist here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, and I am feeding our penguins their first feed of the day. Ludwig herring medfish. Now these birds can be found off the coast of Chile and Argentina, but they do all right here in Southern California because we have a very similar climate to what they may see off of that coast of Chile and Argentina, meaning that they do not require snow or ice to survive. And right now I'm offering some herring and capelin, whatever capelin medfish. I'm offering herring and capelin to each of our birds, and it looks like these birds are ready for seconds. So I have whatever Cleo, Astaire, and Ludwig in front of me. Julie asked, how many penguins are born each year at the Aquarium of the Pacific? Astaire, whatever, 2, 3. So we have actually not had a penguin hatch since 2018. Our last penguins to have hatched were Cleo, Wally, and Dee. Skipper, capelin, medfish. And although there are eggs laid every single year, we do follow the guidelines of the species survival plan. So if they recommend breeding, then we will follow through with that breeding. And this past year, we attempted to raise 2 offspring from Kate and Avery, who are both Brazilian rescues that are mated. Unfortunately, Avery did pass away this past May, but their eggs were non-viable, so we unfortunately didn't raise those eggs. And if the species survival plan recommends raising, then we will go ahead and do that. Right now we have 22 birds in our colony, and our capacity is 25 birds. So when we really follow those guidelines to make sure that we can give all the care to each and every bird that we have. So although penguins are cute and fluffy, and I think I would love to raise them every single year, we want to make sure that we have everything that they could possibly need, including space and all of the attention we can give them. Now, Tyler Hill just made a donation. Thank you so much. I do want to stop and take a moment and let you know that most of our proceeds come from ticket sales. And since we are closed and we have only been open 91 days in the entire 2020 year, we are hurting. So if in any way you can donate, any amount really goes a long way. You are welcome to check out the link below in the comments, or you can go to our website, aquariumofpacific.org, where you can find out more information. We have other things that you can purchase as well that will help support all of our animals, such as cameos, where you can meet a marine mammal, sometimes a penguin. Just check out the options online. And then outside of that, we have different virtual tours and a virtual encounter with our pinnipeds. So everything is listed on our website, and you might even see a link below describing that. And I'm going to answer one more question and then continue feeding. Sometimes it's hard for me to juggle feeding and chatting, but I'm sure you'll enjoy watching both. Mike asked, how did you get those penguins? Are they from the wild or born in captivity? So all of these penguins have a little bit of a different scenario. We have several penguins that came to us from another facility back when we opened in 2011. That includes Shim, Whatever, Floyd, Ludwig, Patsy. I think that's it. I might be slipping on one name. Admiral Fancy Pants came to us from SeaWorld a few years ago, and then we have 3 birds that were Brazilian rescues, so they were stranded, deemed non-releasable off the coast of northern Brazil, where their natural habitat is normally Chile and Argentina. So although they were not fit to survive in the wild, they were fit to survive, so we were able to take them in, and they've been here ever since. And then the rest of the birds hatched here. We've raised 13 chicks here at the Aquarium of the Pacific since we opened. And then I just want to take one more moment to thank Heather for donating. Thank you so, so much. And I'm going to go ahead and continue this feed. And if you have questions, please leave them in the comments. You may hear me chatting, saying which penguin is eating which fish. I actually have volunteer Kelly here, who is also an expert identifier, so she will catch the fish that I may miss if I do decide to answer some questions. So if you're just tuning in, I am feeding our Magellanic penguins their first feed of the day. Shim herring. I guess I could say what they're eating on the microphone, duh. Shim herring, Floyd herring, stolen by Floyd. Sometimes we get visitors, our seagull friends. We are an open air habitat. So we get visitors that'll just stop by on the rockwork. You may see, if you follow our explore.org cameras 24/7 at the website explore.org, this camera is that feed, but we're tracing it over to our Facebook now. You'll see that we have many travelers that stop by and say hello, like some egrets and seagulls and pigeons. No. A stare herring. Thank you so much, Carrots. Sorry, I apologize. I wanted to say your name correctly, for donating. Thank you so, so much. Alrighty. We have Astaire and Heidi in front of me right now, and Astaire's on his 3rd capelin. Didn't want the 4th one. That's okay. He's waiting for that. Let's see. Shim herring. I don't know if I told you, but Skipper got his capelin medfish. Alrighty, so we are in migration season, and that is a very important season for these birds. It's when they're following their food source. Their migration season happens during the winter. Although we are in a temperate climate, it is still pretty cold in the air, so the water temperature is around 56 degrees. So it's warmer for them to be in the water, moving around, doing their thing. Cleo herring. I think Skipper had 6. She did, yes. We have one to Kate. Kate herring medfish. So when we are in migration season, they're in the water all the time, and they're actually really, really aware of their surroundings now more than ever. because when they're in the water and swimming, that is when, in their natural habitat, they will be around their worst predators. They have predators on land, but in the water they have things like sharks, seals, some orcas, depending on the area. So they are very aware and easily spooked. So that seagull came down and they jumped back into the water. You may also notice that they're not on the beach a whole lot as compared to their breeding or their molting season, where they're here all the time. So for starters, it makes for an easier clean for the keepers because they're in the water all the time. But if they are on land and hanging out when we're not around, they usually are laying right at the front of the habitat so they can make a quick exit and get right back into the water. Thank you, Julie, for donating. Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to leave those in the comments. Ooh, I kind of remember. Anderson paper. So Anderson here was our first chick that we raised way back when. I think he's 7 or 6 years old right now. And he was actually hand reared, meaning that he was an egg that was in an incubator, and we raised him from day one. And Heidi and Anderson both hatched the same year. Heidi was raised by Roxy and Floyd, their parents, but Anderson was raised in an incubator. So it's pretty cool to see that that didn't affect too much of his normal day-to-day. A lot of times people will see that when an animal's raised fully by humans, that they tend to take on liking people more, and he is in the water with the birds doing all things that he should be, and he picked up on being a bird pretty quickly. Now I have Miss Jade coming out of the water. You got to come a little closer. Thank you. That was a medfish. So the next season that will follow migration, they're in the water swimming for about 3 to 4 months. So the next season that will follow is their breeding season. Fisher, herring, medfish. Oh. I have Fisher in front of me now, and he's now gotten 3 herring. So what happens in breeding season is the males will come out of the water a little bit early. They will assess their nesting space. They'll start building the nest, and a couple of weeks later, the female will come out of the water and find their mate. So these birds will mate for life, and they will use small calls to find each other. So they do small little contact calls that kind of sound like, oh. And each bird has their own little sound, and they will, in their natural habitat, find their nest by calling out to their mate. Whatever, did not eat that capon. They will call out to their mate and find their space and just finish up any nesting things. If they have an egg, both birds will sit on the egg together. Usually they will equally share the load of being a parent. One will be in the water collecting food while the other one's on the nest, and they swap. And then if and when a chick hatches, they will also both take part in feeding their chick. So they will regurgitate for several weeks. They are altricial, which means that they require their parents to help them to get all the nutrition that they need. Where you have some birds, like a lot of shorebirds, Seagull got that one. We have a lot of shorebirds that they hatch and they are just ready to eat and find their own food and hunt for their own and live their lives, where penguins and other birds like parrots and raptors, they get fed by their parents until they get big enough. So here at the aquarium, both parents will feed their young, and then once that chick gets big enough and curious enough, they start exiting their burrow. So we have 9 burrows or nest boxes to my left and behind me. If they start to get a little too curious, find themselves in the tunnel, we may take them behind the scenes where we have our penguin nursery. And this is when the chick really starts to grow. They start getting more and more fish. And they start getting more and more fish. Of course, we start off really small. And then at 60 to 80 days, these birds are full size. They are eating whole fish, whether it's capelin or herring. And then they are learning to swim, if not already learned how to swim. They know how to maintain their feathers. And they are ready to meet the colony at 60 to 80 days. I realize I've been rambling for a moment. If you're just tuning in, my name is Frankie. I'm an aviculturist here at the Aquarium of the Pacific in Long Beach, California. And I'm feeding our Magellanic penguins their first feed of the day, where I'm offering some herring, which is a little bit larger. Not sure if you can see that. And capelin, which is smaller. Anderson here is going to eat some capelin. I have Anderson, Heidi, and Whatever in front of me. Whatever is our oldest bird at 17 years old. She just walked away. That's okay. If you feel so inclined, there is a donate button below. If you would like to donate any amount, all of that goes to the care of all of our animals. We are closed, and being closed means that we're losing out on a huge chunk of our proceeds. This is Admiral. I think this is his first fish today. Is it? Oh. See you later. Wally, hello. Wally capelin medfish. Sorry, I got distracted by Admiral. I haven't seen him since the beginning of the feed. If you're interested in donating, there's a link below, or if you want to do anything else, including virtual tours or maybe getting a greeting from one of our animals, our social media team is really rocking it. And if you check out our website, you can see all of the opportunities. And again, all of those proceeds just go straight back to the care for our animals. Is he here? Oh, no, that's Wally. Paddles had 3 herring. She is eating like Matson. All of our birds have a little bit of different personalities. She's eating capelin now. 2, 3. And right now I'm feeding Miss Paddles. We were commenting that Paddles is eating like Matson right now, where he comes up to the bucket. Where Matson will just come, his MO is he comes up to the bucket, he eats his 3 or 4 fish and goes straight back to the water. And Paddles doesn't always do that, so we were just kind of observing and thinking that was very similar. So they're all a little different. Right now I have Wally in front of me. He's being very patient. I'm going to give him some capelin. Oh. Dee, I haven't seen you yet today. Or Gats. What are you guys doing over there? Hi. This is Heidi. Sorry. We have a Heidi and a Dee. They are siblings, and they actually look alike. Yeah. They're hanging out on the rock over there. They'll come around. So we have some birds that will come straight to the bucket. Oh, here's Matson. I was describing him a moment ago. He comes to the bucket, eats his fish, and leaves. I'm okay with that. Matson herring medfish. 2, 3, 4. Usually that's it for him. See you later. I was going to talk to you about what happens after breeding season. Maybe Matson wants some more food. Wow, thank you so much, Cassandra and Linda. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I recently went on a tangent about what our breeding season looks like. The chicks will go to the nursery, and then once they are raised and ready to come back to the habitat, we are pretty close to our molting season, and molting is the most stressful time of year for our penguins. Breeding is pretty stressful, but the molting is in our hottest time of the year, so it adds an extra stressor to the birds. So molting is when an animal will replace their fur, feathers, or skin in order to have new fur, feathers, or skin. And since Magellanic penguins are birds, they're replacing their feathers. And they have over 75 feathers per square inch. So they are much fluffier than some think. And when they are molting, they go through a catastrophic molt. So a lot of birds will lose 1 feather at a time throughout the year to maintain their plumage. Lily. Okay, she's not hungry. But these birds do it in 3 to 5 days. So they will kind of look like penguin zombies, if you will. Their black feathers aren't so black because they've gone through their year. And they are just fading out a little bit. So they look kind of brown. They're at their biggest size. Because when they're molting, they can't swim. Because when they molt, they're not waterproof. If they're not waterproof, they can't swim. And if they can't swim, they can't eat. So they actually spend a period of time before they start to molt bulking up. So they become their largest size. So they're stressed out. They're heavy. It's hot. And they are just trying to get slimmed down and have their brand new feathers in. So they'll spend 3 to 5 days replacing their feathers. And then thereafter spending 4 to 6 weeks preening their feathers and waterproofing them. So the brand new feathers aren't waterproof when they come out of their skin. They are just soft feathers that require waterproofing. So on the back of every one of our penguins' tail, Admiral turned around, they have a uripigio gland, which is also known as a preen gland or an oil gland. And this is what they dip their beaks in order to coat every single feather with oil, which is what makes them waterproof. So this takes weeks. And they, like I said, they have 75 feathers per square inch. Admiral here is being a good example of what preening is. So they can turn their heads pretty far. They actually sometimes will use their flipper. So they'll transfer oil from their beak to their flipper, and they'll use that. And sometimes I've seen them stand on one foot doing penguin yoga and reaching all over behind their head. Although their mates will help them out and preen the backside of their head, they can reach every feather if they need to. And a lot of people wonder, why do they go through such a stressful molt when other animals go through one feather at a time throughout the year to keep their plumage? And that's because they need to be perfectly waterproof for the migration season. So right now they're migrating and they're in the water for 3 to 4 months. And off the coast of Chile and Argentina, they may swim for 2,500 miles. So they need their feathers to be in the best possible condition. And yes, they spend every single day recoating those feathers, getting them nice and maintaining that waterproofing. But in the beginning, it takes a lot of work to get that initial coating. I just got a thank you, Keeper Frankie and the entire AOP team for taking care of the penguins. You rock. By the way, did Shimmer whatever ever have a chick of their own elsewhere? You know, I don't know that question. I've never thought about that. They came to us as a pair, and that is something I'm going to look into. And I will be back here next Tuesday at 10 a.m. chatting with you all, and I hope I have an answer for that. Since they are part of a species survival plan where they are managed by a committee based on their genetics, I'm sure that's written down somewhere. I like that you gave me something to think about. Thank you. So the species survival plan is, I've mentioned it a few times, and it's not just about the genetics in our habitat, it's all of the Magellanic penguins within the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. It does not have to do with the penguins in the wild, though. Although species survival plan does sound a lot like helping wild penguins because it's the survival of the species, but it's within an institution or an animal care facility so that we can maintain the animals for as long as possible. So a couple of years ago, I remember the numbers being, we had 230 penguins within zoos and aquariums, and as long as siblings or closely related cousins are not mating, we are set for another 250 years of reproducing within zoos and aquariums. And that's not counting any potential strandings where we may have to take in new birds and their genetics will just go further into that species survival plan. And that species survival plan is used amongst many different animals within most institutions. If you really want to know a lot more about that, you can check out aza.org, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, and they've got all of the information on species survival plans listed out really nicely. Now, Magellanic penguins are doing okay in the wild as well. Of course, there is habitat decline for most animal species. There's still about 2 million breeding pairs. So that doesn't account for the juveniles that are off doing their own thing for a couple of years and the young chicks. So there's at least 3.5, 4 million Magellanic penguins in the wild off the coast of Chile and Argentina, where their closely related cousin penguin species, the African penguin, there's only about 40,000 of them left, maybe even less. I think I read 13,000 pairs are left. Hello. So I have Skipper and Lily up front at the bucket. Skipper and Lily are siblings, both the offspring of Roxy and Floyd. And they are both eating some capelin. Maybe. Capelin. All right, I think I'm going to go to the water's edge and feed the couple of birds that still need to eat. If you do have any questions, please leave their questions in the comments. Those will get right over to me. Let's see, I also have to plan my movements with the intention of the seagulls as well. I've left far too many open buckets. Does Patsy need a medfish? Hi, Patsy. Patsy, herring medfish. Okay. Yeah, I think Anderson did get two. Alrighty, so Miss Roxy's at the water's ledge. I'm gonna feed her Roxy herring, and then I also have a Robbie. Sorry if you can't hear me very well. I was not holding the microphone properly. Robbie herring medfish. And then I have Gats and D in the corner over here. Sorry if I'm out of view. YOLO Gats herring medfish. I just need to peel one more. You may hear me say the word medfish. These birds are on preventative anti-malarial medicine. Since we are an open air habitat, we do have access to mosquitoes throughout the year, and we want to make sure that there's no transfer of any sort of a virus. So we give them an anti-malaria every single day. Sorry, every other day. I'm coming. All right, I'm going to hand deliver another fish to Miss D. I miscounted my fish earlier. This is for D. There we go. Alrighty, folks, it looks like I am done with this feed. We will be back if you want to watch some more on our webcam. We have live streams all day long, 24/7 on explore.org, above and underwater of our Magellanic penguin habitat. But we also have more habitats on that. So if you check out the Aquarium of the Pacific, you can see some of our tropical tanks, our Shark Lagoon, our Honda Blue Cavern. I want to give some shout outs to Stephanie, Amelia, Maria, Brenda. Oh my gosh, Maria, thank you so much for booking some virtual tours. Thank you to Tyler, Heather, Kara, Julie, Cassandra, and Linda. Wow, thank you so much. And I'm going to wait for the go-ahead, so if anyone is interested in me answering any questions, feel free to leave in the comments, and if I don't get to them, we will always get back to you at a later time. Just leave them on this live stream. And then I wanted to comment, if you are still interested in donating and this live viewing is done, you can always go to our website or find links anywhere on the Aquarium of the Pacific's Facebook page. And then our gift shop is open. So if you're local and you want to come on in, I think we're open 11:30 to 6:30, but I'm going to let our moderator correct that timeline in our comments. We've got a lot of good stuff this year. And it looks like we don't have any other questions. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your donations. Right now on the beach I have Gats, Floyd, and Admiral Fancy Pants. Just maintaining their feathers, doing their thing. And if you can't get enough of this, check out our live stream. And if you check out any of our other social pages, we do some penguin walks every once in a while too. So if you turn on those notifications, you'll know when we go live. I'm getting one message right now, and it's a thank you so much. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. And I'll be back in 2021. I haven't said that yet. Now I have. See you next year.